Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I want to bring the one, the only, the magnificent Miss Joan Burge. Keep it up, keep it up.
You got me worn out already.
Come on, 31 years of this amazing conference. One more time, Joan Burge.
Woo, woo, stretch your stuff, stretch your stuff, stretch your stuff, stretch your stuff. Okay. Woo. I'm exhausted, and I have to talk. Welcome, welcome. Oh, yes, let me catch my breath. As you can see, we do it up different here at Office Dynamics. Well, are you wondering why we have this huge throne on stage? I love this throne. Well, thrones can metaphorically be tied to influential people in many ways. So let me tell you how, with my assistant, Beth. Okay, let's see. What do we have? All right. Thrones are a symbol of power and authority. Influential people hold positions that require them to make significant decisions. Just as a monarch on a throne governs a kingdom, these individuals wield considerable influence over their respective domains. That's you. You govern your kingdoms at work. You have considerable influence over your workplace and over others. Let's see what else. Thrones represent responsibility and stewardship. Influential people are often seen as stewards of their fields or community, responsible for guiding, mentoring, and making decisions that benefit others. That's you, right? You are stewards over your field. You are responsible for guiding and mentoring people. We have 6, by the way. So bear with me. And these are all in your handbook, too. I love this one. See, I even highlighted it. Visibility and influence. Thrones are elevated, making the person sitting on them more visible. I actually feel kind of shrunken in this big throne. But influential people often have a public presence and a platform from which they can share their ideas and influence others. What is your platform? Think about your platform. Anything you do through virtual communications is your platform. Your workplace is your platform. Even if you are working remotely, that is your platform. You are still going to communicate and influence people through that. Number 4. I like this one as well. Legacy and continuity. Thrones also represent a legacy, often passed down through the generations. Influential people can leave a lasting impact that affects future generations. It's not just about us and what we do in our workplaces today, but know that everything you do today, you are going to hand that off to future generations of assistants. The newer assistants that come into your organization, the younger assistants. How many do we have left here? 2? All right. Ceremony and symbolism. Thrones are often surrounded by ceremony and symbolism to reinforce the values they stand for. For administrative professionals, these would be things like professional designations or awards, like we're going to have the Joan Burge Innovation Award on Friday. And last, but definitely not least, this one is interesting, so pay attention. Challenges and trials. The journey to the throne is often fraught with challenges and trials. Influential people share their stories of overcoming obstacles to serve as an inspiration and motivation for others. Getting to the throne is not easy. It's challenging. You have to earn being on this throne. We're going to talk about that. So why? Why should you care? If it's challenging to get to the throne, why should you care about it? Well, if you open your workbooks, there are 11 reasons. I'm not going to go through all 11. Are we ready? All right. So I've got my slides. Are we good? I want to focus on 4 of them. So first of all, you should care because through influence, you shape situational outcomes. Think about that for a moment. Meaning when you're in a situation, in that moment, what you do, what you decide is going to shape the situation, right? Good or bad. So that's a big deal. I know, tweak me here. First time we're trying this mic out. See, we're going to go back to my cordless lavalier. No. Gaining respect is the second one. You want to be influential. But when you're influential, you gain respect. People respect people who have influence, who can make an impact, who can make a difference. It matters. Obtaining financial support. How many of you would love to not battle to get support to come to conferences? You want that support for education. You want that financial support. Maybe there are tools you need to do your job better. When you're influential, you're going to get more yeses than nos. And the last kind of builds on this executive buy-in, but this has to do with your ideas. When you're perceived by management as being influential, it's easy to get buy-in for your ideas. And I know you have a lot of ideas. You're on the ground. You're in the field. You see it every single day. You tell me about the ideas you have. And then you'll say next, well, I can't convince management. How do I get management to agree? You've got to build your influence. And you also have to learn persuasion skills, which is separate, which I'm going to tell you about in one moment, now in fact. There is a difference. So open your workbooks. You need to be on this page. You want to understand the difference between influence and persuasion. So I have to tell you for a minute. You know, I thought of this theme over a year ago. And I was really excited about influence. I teach persuasion skills. I've been teaching it for years. But I really wanted to dig deep. I wanted to know, really, what is the difference between influence and persuasion? And they are different. They really are, and you need both. So I'm highlighting the most important pieces, you know, for you to know. So first of all, the approach is different. Influence is often, actually it's supposed to be indirect. I don't know, we fixed that slide last night, but it's not up. So if you look in your workbooks, influence is often indirect, and it's subtle. Influence is something we build over time. It's subtle. It happens because of who we are, our character, the way we treat people. So it happens over time. I know, are we resetting? On the other hand, persuasion, it's direct. If I want to persuade you right now, I'm going to be direct, I'm going to be explicit. I'm not going to take months, maybe. You know, I might take months to persuade you of something, but do you know what I mean? Influence you're building every single day, or you're not building it. The next, they're different in intent. So again, influence, the intent is long term. You're building it long term, and you want to continue to be influential long term. You're not turning it on and off like persuasion. I could turn on and off. Like right now, I want to persuade you why you need to be influential. But then I'm going to turn that off after a while. Do you see the difference? But I want to continue to influence you this whole week. I want to inspire you. I want to motivate you. I want to influence you, you know, and persuade you and all of that. So it's a combination of both. And the last part are the dynamics. Influence could be exerted without direct communication. So for a moment, stop and think about people in your organization who you would identify as influential. Just because who they are, how they act, right? And they're doing that without communicating directly with you. But they probably are communicating through their body language, right? How they carry themselves, how they handle difficult situations, how they respect others. Persuasion requires active engagement with the target. So think about every day at work. Really, you should have opportunities to persuade people at work every single day. You're persuading them to take your call. You're persuading them to respond to something your executive needs. You're persuading them to change a process. Like you could use that skill every single day, as well as building your influence. So does that make sense to everyone? Like I said, there are distinct differences, and it's important to know those because you're going to build them differently a little bit. And yet they do converge at some point, right? I could probably persuade you if you view me as an influential person. So they're connecting. Your sphere of influence, your sphere of where you can persuade is massive. I dug into it. I outlined it in your workbooks. Again, I'm not going through every step of it. But first of all, let's look at the sphere. How many of you know about the sphere here in Las Vegas? Have you seen it? It's unbelievable. This doesn't even do it justice. I'll be at the sphere my third time in a couple weeks. I love it. It opened 1 year ago. It was the first of its kind in the world. Nothing like it on the planet. We're very proud of it. It's a technology marvel. And you walk in, and it's shaping experience. Remember JJ talked about experience? And I want to talk to that a minute, because really the best way we really learn is experiential learning. right? You've got to experience it. You've got to feel it. We just can't read you a list of things to do and expect you to create behavior change. But anyway, it's changing how we experience live entertainment. I can't even describe to you what it's like. It's so high, the seats are so high. There's layers and layers and escalators, and it's very modern, and it's very cool. So if you have a chance, go to the Sphere. But anyways, the Sphere is influencing how we experience things, how we view things, how we see things. The Sphere reigns over the Las Vegas Strip and even beyond. So your sphere of influence, it's so massive. I broke it into 3 areas for you. So the first area, you'll see in your workbooks, are general areas of influence. And I'm going to highlight again just a few. I'm not going to cover every single thing with you, but I would like you to go back and read. The second category I'm going to cover is influence in communication. And then the third one is influence in career management. So let's go through a few of these. The first part. This is huge. Think about how you manage information. You know what? I'll never forget, I think it was like in 2000. I was fortunate enough to work with Humana Inc., which Humana's huge, right? I was so excited. They called me in. The CEO, Mike McAllister, wanted to bring in training for all their assistants, and he fully supported it. And the Chief Human Resource Officer, Bonnie Hathcock, was right on board. I mean, we had the power at the top. And we brought in our Star Achievement Series, and it was there for 10 years in that company. Yes, 10. So we started teaching it. I started teaching, but then we licensed 6 executive assistants to teach it. But anyway, the idea is, I got to know Mike really well, and we used to have a lot of conversations, and I got to talk with him, and talking about his EA. He talked about the power, that she was the queen bee, and you don't want to mess with the queen bee. He would tell people, if you don't treat her right, you're not getting on my calendar. You don't mess with her, right? Yes, power, influence. But what he said to me, now this is in 2000, where we communicated the old-fashioned way. He said, she is an influential person as far as being my information flow manager. Wow. Powerful, right? And it's so true. Like all this information flows into you or flows into your executive, and they hand it off to you. You influence what's going to happen with that information. Is it going to stop with you? Are you going to send it on? Are you going to add your own 2 cents and then send it on? Are you going to leave something out and change the whole meaning to where it goes wrong? This is an important responsibility. Own it. Own it. You're not a robot. And that's how we feel today, robots. Information in, information out. How soon can I get it out of my inbox? How quick can I delete it? How quick, you got it coming in on my phone. I'm on Slack, I'm on Asana. Oh no, I'm on Teams. Oh no, we're on this, that. Hundreds of thousands of pieces of information are coming into you on a week. So please respect this part of your job. You are not a robot. This is where AI will not replace you, provided you lean into that power. Relationship building, to me that was another key area, right? Think about your interactions with stakeholders, other people, managers, leaders, other departments. You're a big influence in that. I know Malia is huge in that area. Malia shines in relationship building. She's the queen of relationships. I can't tell you how many business colleagues talk about Malia. Malia, Malia, Malia. Malia's wonderful. Malia listens to me. Malia cares. And all the assistants, same thing. They call in. I can't believe Malia spent all that time on the phone with me because she cares, truly cares, but she builds the relationships which then she can be influential in a good way, right? All right, what else? Representing the executive. This is important. Often you are called on to represent your manager or your leader, correct? It may be on telephone calls, during Zoom meetings or other meetings. You're representing them. And so again, that's another area. We influence how people perceive our executives. And so if we're not doing that in a great professional, grand fashion, it's interesting. Also, people are forming perceptions about your organizations based on how they view you and how they perceive you, right? I mean, I remember that when I was an executive assistant. I was representing my company. I was representing my leaders, and I needed to do it with style and class and professionalism, and that has gone by the wayside today. Thanks to the pandemic, don't even get me started. Everything's gone too far to the right, but I'm going to tell you tomorrow, it's time to get back. You got to get back in the game. You've got to step it up in every single way, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow. So let's keep going. This is great, influencing communication. So just thinking about that. Again, I have 11 or 12 ideas for you to read on your own, but I pulled out what I wanted to most share with you. So clarity and conciseness is number one on your list, and it's one for a reason. So if we want to be influential, we need to be clear and we need to be concise. So don't go on and on and on in your email. People don't have time today. You're going to lose them. You're going to lose them in a minute, right? So actually in the last 2 years, I've had many clients call and ask us to teach their administrative people on this very thing, brevity. But you've got to not leave out important information, right? So how do you be brief, but yet make sure you're telling people everything they need to hear, right? The information they need. Because then that's going to influence the decisions they make. Active listening. Active. So I learned in 1990 the difference between hearing and listening from an executive coach. Hearing happens naturally. It doesn't take effort unless you're hearing impaired. Listening takes place in your brain. You have to shut everything else out. You can't think about what you're going to say next or what question you're going to ask next. It takes effort. That's how you'll know. So I want you to practice active listening over the next 3 days. Not being distracted by anything, but really paying attention to someone when they talk to you. All right, we're going to keep going. Medium selection, another huge area. We teach this. We really get into medium. I've been talking about this for years, too, as well as just because everyone emails you, it doesn't mean you should email them back. Just because everyone texts you, it does not mean you should text them back. Your job in communication is to have impact, to get attention in a world of 100,000 distractions. How do you do that? The tool you choose makes a difference. You don't want to follow the crowd. Don't be a robot. If you want to really influence people, choose the tool that is going to be most effective. Crisis communication. So think about when things are chaotic, when you have a crisis at work, it just gets crazy. Or we've also had all kinds of other crises going on, right? Even just this week, people being affected with the hurricane and how that's affecting their businesses. And so in that moment, your communication's important. And are you communicating calmly? That's another thing Malia's really good at. She's cool as a cucumber, no matter what's going on. And I'm like, what? So that's where you can really help. When you see it being chaotic, continue to be that calm in how you speak and talk about things. You can influence how other people react in that moment. Does that make sense, right? Very powerful. All right, we're going to keep going because I know I also have introductions and announcements for you too before we end at 9:30. Influence in career management. So I really also thought about this. Do you influence your career or do you let others influence you? Are you doing what you do because you want to do it? Or do you let others kind of sway you, talk you out of things? So you want to be influential in your career. It's your career. So building a strong reputation. In our careers, every single day, we want to build a strong reputation. And here's something else. Do you know, every single day, we have to re-earn our reputation. You don't build it and then you get to stop. Every single day, I have to work on my reputation. Just because I had a great reputation a few months ago doesn't mean I'm going to have it today or tomorrow. So when you build that strong reputation, again, this is where you can be influential. Expanding your network, it's really important to have a great network. I view it like a spider web, but all these connections, right? Because everyone is connected. So like I might have 40 connections in my web, but each of those 40 hopefully also have 30 or 40. So if I need help with career stuff or work stuff, or I need a job maybe, I've lost my job, it's because I built all those networks over all this time. I could go to any of them. And maybe they can't help me, but they probably know someone who can. It's all about the networking. Navigating organizational politics. Politics exists in the workplace, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. And whether you like it or not, they are there. But there are good politics in the workplace. So you want to be on that team. You want to know those people. And then when those things are happening, again, you're being that positive influence. And also, you're protected from negative politics in the workplace. And then another one I pulled out was number 7. When you're influential, you enhance your job security. People, companies, managers, leaders, they don't want to get rid of employees who are influential and have impact and are valuable. Now, yes, sometimes they don't have a choice. And I know some of you or other assistants who I've met, I know are awesome assistants, and they still lose their job. I lost my job twice when I was an assistant. First time I lost it was because we were downsizing. The other time I lost it, a job I loved, I was working for Coppertone, the vice president of marketing, having a blast, and they restructured from the president up, and everybody else got restructured. They moved our top executives out of state. Well, I wasn't going, I stayed in Memphis with my kids and my family. So sometimes you can't help it, but if you've done all this other stuff, you're going to land on your feet quickly. All right, one more thing I'm going to get to. But this is, I feel, the most important piece I can share with you. It's the subtitle of our theme, Shaping Strategy, Steering Success. There are a lot of people who walk around who are influential, but they don't necessarily shape the strategy. They don't steer something to a successful outcome. This is where I really would love for you to grow, and we're going to do our team building activity today is actually going to be designed around this so you can see how if you use a certain strategy, you may be more successful or not. In one single moment, that's the word one. So you influence the course of events in one moment. In this very moment at work, when you are asked to make a decision about something, you're either going to send the dominoes in a good direction or not. Whatever decision we make in this moment is going to shape what happens next and next and next. In this moment, if you choose to listen and pay attention versus not, the people who don't, you're going to have two different outcomes. That is a powerful position you are in. Do you understand the power of your position? It's kind of scary, right? When you think about it, it's immense. But that's why you matter so, so much. Each and every one of you matter. You make a difference. And so the choices you make every single moment, are going to significantly influence the outcomes. One more quote. The ability to influence strategy and steer success within an organization is a game changer for your career. I know some assistants very, very well in this room. I know they're high-level influencers. I know one of them, she's sitting right there in that green jacket, and I hate to point you out, but I personally know Wendy Morrow. She lives here in Vegas. I've known her for years. She's a huge influencer. She works for a big executive here in town. She has no easy job. She's 24/7. She is on call. There have been Saturday nights when we were supposed to go out, and she had that phone, and she's like, I can't go. This has happened. I've got to go. I get it, though, right? So the question I have before I close this little piece out, are you going to own the throne? It's here. It's here. It's up to you if you want to own it, if you want to lean into it, if you want to make a difference in the lives of others, in the lives of your families, in the lives of everyone else here. I chose to take this throne in 1990 and fight for all of you. and it's not been easy. And I want you to also own the throne, because the rewards are immense. All right, that's the piece, Own Your Throne. I do have some announcements to go with you. Thank you.